Yes means yes, and no means, well, what exactly do teenagers think it means? For instance, that it's only rape if it's between strangers and by force, that girls in revealing outfits are asking for it. These are just some of the responses to the Office of the Children's Commissioner when it began investigating issues around sexual consent. Channel 4 News has been given exclusive access to the report, which will be published tomorrow, at a time when lowering the age of consent is once again being debated. We'll be discussing the issues raised by the report in a moment, but first, as Katie Razzle has been finding out, for British teenagers, the line between giving and getting consent for sex is pretty blurred.
So I'm going to give you a piece of paper and I'm going to ask you to write down a definition of consent.
So what do British teenagers think is okay when it comes to sex?
If you're under 16, you're not allowed to have sexual intercourse.
These year 10s know the law, but if you dig a little deeper, the lines become blurred.
It's not really anybody's fault because the girl's getting drunk. That's what she wants, and like the lad wants to get it on with somebody. So
They're being taught sex education by a group called Sexpression, set up by undergraduates spurred on by the sexism they encountered on campus.
No doesn't always mean no because, as he said, it can just be a form of teasing.
We've learnt many young people aren't equipped to say no.
How do you know what you're consenting to?
Channel 4 News has been given exclusive access to a report that says teenagers are muddled about what counts as consensual sex.
What normally happens is girl gets drunk, boy tries it on, and half the time she says yes, half the time she says no.
I think it's her fault because she should be drinking a certain amount of alcohol that won't actually get her that drunk to not know what she's doing.
Ideally, the boy would realise that the girl obviously wouldn't be saying yes to this in her right mind because she's so wasted. But I think the girl has some responsibility to try and push this person away and try and say no.
Across Britain, teenagers are navigating relationships in a world where naked pictures are shared online and porn is easily available. Hundreds of kids across the country have given their views on sexual consent to the Office of the Children's Commissioner.
When you speak to young people, you do get a sense that there is still a confusion about who's responsible for sexual violence. Whether that's new or whether that's always been the case, I think, is arguable. So there will be it's kind of 50-50. If she did this, she told him that she liked him, she turned up at the house, she kissed him anyway, so it kind of gave him the impression that she'd want to have sex with him, then it's kind of her fault.
Teenagers are influenced by the sexual images they see. Miley Cyrus's twerking was certainly shocking, but she got more criticism than the man on stage with her, perhaps mirroring the double standards noted in the Commissioner's report, that girls who have sex are sluts while boys get praise. We put that to a group of 13 and 14-year-old girls.
Boys really don't get labelled the same that a girl would. So if a girl slept around, then everyone would call her a slag and everyone would start being judgmental about her. But if a boy did, from his friend's point of view, I think they'd probably have some, not respect, but some type of, respect for him.
Yeah, I think it is all the girls get labelled if they do sleep around, and the boys just get congratulated if they done it, and it makes the girl seem so easy when they're really not.
It's the under-15s that are most uncertain where the lines lie, according to the report, and that risks making them more vulnerable to sexual exploitation. It finds they have a very narrow view of rape, which discounts the everyday situations which they are more likely to find themselves in.
Young people seem to think of rape as something that happens when a stranger attacks you in the night, in a dark alley, drags you off somewhere screaming and forces sex upon you. They don't understand that forced sex between two people who actually know each other, even if that is very tenuous, like you've just met somebody in a club, that too is rape.
If they got up to the bedroom, then I don't think it was really rape. She shouldn't have gone that far, I think.
I don't think it counts as rape unless she said, she specifically made it clear that she didn't want to have sex with him. If she had no idea what was going on because she was drunk and it happened and then the next morning she only just realised what happened, then I don't think it's classed as rape, because she didn't say anything about the fact that she didn't want it to happen.
If he wanted to do that, then maybe he should have waited until she was like lucid and like herself to see if she actually wanted to do that. So I guess there's an element of rape in there.
Yeah. Girls have always been the focus of preventing sexual violence. They're given rape alarms, encouraged to cover up, told to watch their drink. But this conspires to create a feeling that girls are responsible for their fate. Now the tables are starting to turn. There's a growing global movement to target education on the behaviour of boys instead.
Do you think lots of people would assume that a girl wearing a low-cut dress, something sexy, means that she's looking to have sex?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Safer London Foundation runs sessions aimed at boys who have been identified as needing guidance on how to treat girls. They asked us not to identify the young men here.
If she's had sex with other men, well, then she has no respect for herself. The man could just easily treat her as someone who is a slag.
Is it possible, say, in a relationship, for someone to be raped in a relationship? Is it possible? No. No.
If, she is known, she has that reputation, then you wouldn't really check.
You wouldn't check?
You wouldn't check because she's known as it.
When we're focusing just on young women, just working with them around preventing sexual exploitation and sexual violence, there's a worry that we're putting the pressure on them that if something happens, it's your fault. Whereas it's much better for us to be putting resources into working with young men so they understand their responsibilities within a relationship, much more impactful on preventing sexual violence and exploitation happening later on.
Ultimately, you will only ever be sexually assaulted if someone is willing to sexually assault you. The cause of sexual violence is the person that perpetrates it. So changing the focus and looking at that is obviously important. You're only going to prevent, ultimately, sexual violence if people stop doing it.
But ingrained sexism has a part to play too. It's about blurred lines. If Miley twerks and Robin Thicke knows you want it, will it always be more difficult to make the rights and wrongs clear for the next generation?